Aaron, happy December.
Happy December, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm overwhelmed, kind of in a good way. I'm just really busy. We did not do a November podcast, neither you nor I, and so
No.
this is, and I'm not going to have time to do another one of these before the end of the year. That's for sure. So this will be our year-end recap of the news, covering really November up until now. Here, it's mid-December. What's today's date? 15th. So right there,
It's the
smack in the
15th. We're
middle.
halfway through the month.
We're halfway through the month. And so there's a lot of news. There's a ton of news. And let's get to it. Let's go through what some of the headlines are that kind of caught our interest. Why don't you start us off?
Well, I mean, the big one that I think has caught my interest, not even this month, like it started, October, late October, early November, maybe. It was a article that popped up about a guy buying an octopus and teaching it to play piano. But then the really cool part is he was then on TONMO posting stuff. So it's like we got that kind of first hand experience. Did you actually have a chance to watch like the whole video of him teaching the octopus to play the piano?
I did. I watched it once, and I do intend to go back and watch more of it. But I always like the rescue stories. And this person said, I'm going to rescue one from a grocery store. Matthias Krantz is the name of the person who did this, Matthias Krantz. And he said, so I was discussing with my friends yesterday about what the most interesting animal would be to teach how to play the piano. We all agreed it must be the octopus, partly because it has 8 arms and partly because it's known to be very smart and curious. That got me thinking maybe I could actually try it myself. And I replied to that back in February. I'm like, what a great idea, and keep us posted. And I haven't seen him since. We haven't seen him since, but he went off and did this and went massively viral. And so by the time, last month came around, I had completely forgotten what was going on in February. And I saw the video of all that happening, and I thought it was just great. And so I'm like, I got to feature this because this is a very novel experiment and kind of cool. And when you think about, the potential that we have to connect with octopuses and, maybe just find a way to kind of bridge the gaps between us. I thought that was a really good example of that. So anyway, I was blown away when I was like, oh, I remember this thread. This started months ago, actually. And then he went away and did it, basically. So what was your take?
I enjoyed watching the video. I will admit I was a bit of a cynic while watching the video because he kind of the wording and the phrasing he used was all about, teach. I'm going to teach this octopus to play the piano, and he didn't. He taught the octopus to pull levers to get crabs. Now, right. towards the end of the video, he does kind of say, I realize that the octopus doesn't realize it's playing music, and that this is just all incentive for it to get food.
Yes.
So I'll give him credit. He had a good tagline. He had good buzzwords to get it to go viral, and it was an enjoyable video to watch. But it was essentially just an octopus learning to pull levers and feed itself. And it just happens that we got to enjoy jazz music as a result.
This is amazing. I can make this octopus, my friend the octopus, I can basically have it, do things to generate music. And it's pulling levers and it's feeding itself, and that's all it cares about. It doesn't really care about jamming. But the other person gets to sit there and play along with the octopus and kind of do that on a daily basis. And just even the thought that tangentially, the octopus may be like, oh, well, this is kind of cool. I get to eat. There's this pleasant vibration, total vibration. And, maybe music seeps through and we have no idea. We don't have any way to measure or understand that. We don't know. Maybe it is enjoying it. Maybe it's an interesting. I thought it was a very interesting experiment, a very novel way to interact with an octopus. like I said, we'll talk about another one early in the new year. We'll come back to this conversation, but definitely a story to highlight, and very cool that, once again, people find a way to come to TONMO when they have a crazy idea about octopuses. And I love that he actually executed on it, and it went viral. And when you think about all the news that's happening in the world today, there could be worse things to end up on your headline news feed than an octopus learning how to jam with its owner. Yeah,
that is absolutely true. And I do have to give Grant credit for being able to care for an octopus, because as we know on the forums, taking care of an octopus is not an easy task. So, kudos to him for not only doing a cool, fun experiment, but also setting up an octopus tank that allowed him to have this octopus live in his house.
Yeah, maybe I can, maybe if I can reach this person, I can interest him in joining us for a podcast. Maybe you'd want to be in on that interview too, Aaron. I'd like to talk with him a bit and understand further. I want to start with, because what I just read. So he was discussing with his friends about what the most interesting animal would be to teach how to play the piano. Oh, it must be the octopus. And then he goes out, to your point, caring for an octopus is not like something that you just do.
Yeah.
So what if their answer had been grizzly bear? Would they have attempted that if they thought maybe the grizzly bear would be the most interesting animal to play music with? So I don't know. I'd like to peel that back a bit further, understand his tank keeping background. Admittedly, it's been a couple of weeks since I watched that video, and I haven't done all the research on it, but it would be cool to get him on the podcast. We'll see if we can do that.
Yeah, that New Year's special.
Yeah.
My one concern from videos like this is that, now that we've just had this kind of conversation about proper husbandry and caring for these animals, is that a video like this will be like, oh, I can just go down to the market, get an octopus, and then I'll have my own pet octopus.
Yeah.
And so it always makes me a little bit concerned that people that don't know how to run a saltwater aquarium will then go and buy octopuses, and the horror.
Yeah, no, you're right, because thank you for calling that out, because that's constantly that's like my ongoing persistent concern about TONMO.com from the beginning, or at least not from the beginning, but from when people who owned octopuses started taking over the community. If you will, they never took over the community; they became part of the community, and they assimilated with our other topics. Like, we started with science and art and culture and fossils, and it quickly also included people keeping tanks, and that's what really took hold. And there's always been concern among and throughout the community about how hard it is and how much we don't know, and we have to be very, very careful not to, just because understandably, people can whimsically say, well, I can do that. I have time. I have inclination. I have whatever funds it may need to get the tank. And, I'm an enterprising individual, and I'm going to go do this. I want to do this. And it's just like, that's good. I think that's awesome, actually. But like, there really has to be some mettle, METTLE, in your intentions, because it is not easy. It's full of heartache. I mean, there's constantly seeing threads of people who want to keep an octopus, and then it dies quickly, like almost immediately after being put into the tank, or even it dies, 14 months later, a decent life. But the owners become emotionally devastated, or surprised. And I think it's important to really, I guess, just make sure that you're, contemplating all aspects of your responsibility in keeping an octopus, and understand that it often doesn't go well. It's actually pretty rare to make it work. When you do, oh my gosh, it's incredible. And we all in the TONMO community love to see it because some of those threads, we have some active still with some tremendous success. We have one of the best threads we've ever had going on right now for quite a while. And there are others too. And so it's a really hard hobby. So I appreciate you calling that out because that is the kind of thing that gets people going. I remember way back when, what's that movie with Finding Nemo? Finding Nemo came out,
yes.
and there was that octopus character that was one of the friends. Didn't even have that prominent of a role, but even then, everybody was getting into tank keeping because you remember the dentist had a tank too. There was no octopus in that one, but there were all kinds of different fish and the starfish, and it was kind of showcasing some of the tank technology just a bit in that movie. And I think that got a lot of kids saying, I want, I want one that looks like Nemo. I want one that looks like Dory. And some came to our forum and they wanted an octopus because of oh, you made me ink, if you remember that line. Anyway, agree with you. Excellent point to raise on a story like that. You'd never do it enough. Thank you for that, Aaron. What else are we covering in the news?
There's one about an octopus-inspired robot that can change color and grab objects. And this one, the little that I did understand about it, seemed really cool. They're these really tiny little robots, and they do have minor color change responses in regards to the signals that they're getting. They used inspiration from the octopus's camouflage ability, and thought that if they created this little soft robot that was able to move around and be able to latch onto things, and then depending on the signal that it got, change color, which I guess would be an indicator of the health of the tissue that it had latched onto, that would be helpful within the health sector. It's important to kind of note the inspiration itself. Like, a lot of these technology articles are saying octopus inspired. And as we've mentioned on this podcast before, I really think it's because people look at these animals, which are so different to everything else that we have on this earth, and go, these are an extremely successful, intelligent group of animals that are not like mammals in any way, shape, or form. How are they so successful? And that's where they're taking this inspiration from. Like you mentioned prosthetic arms. I remember watching that video a couple of years ago of the prosthetic arm that was a full tentacle and had 360 movement. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So yeah, it's really cool that scientists are looking at these, for lack of a better word, alien creatures that live on Earth with us and going, how can we take their success and help benefit humanity? Yeah. Another I have another kind of science and technology related article that I think is worth mentioning. There was an article, when was it? Early December, maybe? Late November, because of course it's been a while since we've done this, which was kind of announcing that the Vampyroteuthis genome has been sequenced, which, now that I've said the title out loud, I kind of go, oh yes, genetics and genomes, I know nothing about that. But I read through this because love myself some vampire squid stuff. It's always fun to read. And I came across a statistic that I thought was really fascinating, was that the vampire squid genome is over 11 billion base pairs, which might not make any sense to anyone listening, but comparing that to a human genome, that's about 4 times the size of human genome. So these animals have this incredibly complex genome.
When you say base pairing, you mean like the most atomic level of a genome?
At the most atomic level of how nucleic acids combine to essentially create life and DNA and all that sort of stuff. 11 billion pairs of nucleic acids to create the vampire squid.
Wow. And we have a quarter of that number? Is it?
And we have roughly a quarter of that, according to this article. And they go on to say, it's a huge genome itself, but they said that well, how did they word it? Despite its size, its chromosomes show surprisingly conserved structure. And so they liken that to, once again, the vampire squid being this kind of genomic living fossil. We've often kind of compared, the vampire squid to this kind of living fossil that's been around for years and years and years and hasn't really changed much. And the genome kind of also agrees that this thing is indeed this living fossil that has been around since before, squid and octopus really became squid and octopus. Vampire squid were kind of swimming around in the deep sea, eating marine snow.
Did the article mention how it compares to other life form? Like, is that like
it doesn't. I'm trying to quickly read here because I'm kind of mixing up my things.
Is there a genome that has been mapped that exceeds 11 billion base pairs?
Oh, now that's a good question. I don't know that answer off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember because I know that someone at Kayak this year did a comparison presentation of different cephalopod genomes, and I'm trying to remember where the vampire squid fell.
Interesting.
If octopus and squid were kind of on the lower end, or if they were above that. But that would be something that would be good for one of us to look into further.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And maybe we will do that, and we'll insert at the bottom of the screen, or I'll edit in a little segment that provides the answer to that interesting question.
Yes. For those of you that are guessing, the answer is right here.
Behold. Okay. There was a New Zealand man who was charged with eating a Fabergé egg. Are you familiar?
I didn't even look at that article. Tell me about that, Tony, because that seems. How does that relate to squid and octopus?
Well, police in New Zealand have charged the man with theft after he allegedly stole a jewel-encrusted gold Fabergé egg locket from a jeweler by picking it up and swallowing it. Okay, so this happened at the beginning of December. The thing about it is that when you open up the egg, and I'll put this on screen, this beautiful locket has an 18-karat gold octopus inside. It's a beautiful thing. And I'll send it to you here in the chat.
Okay.
Just so you can.
Perfect. Thanks.
Sure.
I'll have a look at it now.
Yeah. We'll scroll down a little bit.
Got it.
So he ate that. And so in a separate statement, Anderson said the man had undergone a medical assessment at the time of his arrest and is being constantly monitored by an officer, meaning they are waiting for that to come out. Which I can't imagine. Well, I'm not going to even go there, but I guess this person's plan was to eat the egg, go home with it, pass it. Terrible idea for so many different reasons. And I guess he's finding out all of them. So, if we could do something like that, maybe take a cue from the people who looted the Louvre. It was an inside job. They knew how to get in and out, and apparently they did it pretty easily, but they also got caught. I think the lesson in all this is,
to be fair, let's just give a warning. Tony and I are not endorsing crime.
No, exactly. We're saying don't do this.
Don't do this, people.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Okay, we can give that advice. What else do we have? Do we have something else?
So there was Someone posted actually in the forums, in the giant squid sighting forums. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
we always love a good giant squid video.
Yes.
And so there was also a news article about that video popping up on Reddit. So if you have not had a chance to go to the giant squid sighting forum and watch this, I think the video is maybe a little over a minute long.
Mm.
It's a giant squid. It's latched onto someone fishing for diamondback squid, and it's been pulled up to the surface, and it stays up there for a good long time trying to get the squid off of the hook, or maybe it had gotten tangled in the lines itself. Um, and it's a very good view of the animal. So if you haven't had a chance to see any of the giant squid videos yet around the internet, this is a great introduction to a giant squid caught on a long line video. The giant squid gets away, which is always great.
The best part. The best part, because we've
It's always
seen
the best part of the video.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because there's a
as
lot
a-
of there's a lot of such sightings where they get caught and but they don't get away, and it's just a miserable video. But you're like, wow, giant squid. We don't see this often. What an amazing encounter, but it's always so tragic. And this one I thought was going to end the same way, but it actually broke away and swam away, which is awesome.
Yeah, the article itself was commenting that someone on Reddit then watched the video and made note that because video technology is becoming more mobile, we're now able to get more of these videos of giant squid at the surface, whereas a couple of decades ago, the fishermen were coming back going, "Oh yeah, we see giant squid all the time," but there was never video footage of it. So now we're getting all of this video footage.
Yeah.
And they do make a note here, which is an interesting one, that they've kind of noticed a trend that a lot of these videos appear in January, and they appear for Japanese trawlers.
That's right.
So they're saying it seems that there might be something going on in Japan around January where there's a lot more giant squid hanging about.
Yes. Yes. I've noticed that for many years now. And here comes January. I guarantee you, we will see an uptick when we do this podcast in January. Let's hold ourselves accountable to share how many giant squid sightings were there from between this podcast and the one that we do at the end of January or beginning of February, whatever it is. That will be worth following up on, because I believe that there'll be numerous sightings.
And I'm trying to remember the Curiosity documentary put out by Japan's version of National Geographic. I think it's NHK.
Yeah.
The submersible dive with Kat Bolstead and Steve O'Shea and Dr. Kubadera, where they actually filmed the live giant squid in its natural habitat. I'm trying to remember where that was. Was that off the coast of Japan?
Thought so, but it's a great question, because I'm just being reactive. I can't say that with certainty, but I think because of Dr. Kubadera's, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll put that at the bottom, or I'll confirm that either at the bottom, or we'll talk about it again next year when we.
Here's the answer here.
Behold. So I do think that, let's do a giant squid appreciation segment early in the new year. I think that's the right time to do it for all the reasons that we've just discussed.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about sightings and maybe just talk a little bit more about them in general. And I know that you can enlighten us, and there'll be some great photos that we can show of you and others at Alcis and others people that we know working with the giant squid. Not to be confused with the colossal squid, which is also an amazing animal in and of itself. But the giant squid, we haven't really.
2025 was the year of the colossal appreciation. So I think Architeuthis needs 2026 for its appreciation. Yeah.
I am aligned with that. That's great. Okay, what else do we have?
Why do cuttlefish have wavy pupils? And it's an IFL Science article.
Oh, I remember this one. Yeah.
And when you read through it, I mean, it does give you an explanation. It kind of suggests that there was a study done where they put cuttlefish into tanks and subjected them to different light. And when there was a lot less light in lower light conditions, their pupil actually does expand to become more or less circular. And so they were suggesting that the wavy pupil is unique, but it was probably just because of good high light conditions. And then they really didn't kind of delve any further into it. And then I also saw that this study was done in 2012. So it's actually really old information. So I got a bit frustrated with IFL Science because it just seemed like they were drawing for an article pull. Shame on you. This is not new.
Thank you for that. And I go through so many stories every day or every other day. I'm processing it, and it's hard to see what it's like. Some of these articles do exactly what you're describing. They present old information as if it's new because, I don't know, they need some clicks or something. It's been a while since we had a cephalopod story, so let's dredge this one up and tell it with through fresh eyes. But the basis of the article is all about something that happened way back in 2012. What's the funniest when that happens with a species of cephalopod that had already been discovered 40 years ago, and some scientists wrote a paper on it and did all the observations and took the measurements and filed it away and maybe got it published. But nobody really cared or noticed, and the species got forgotten. We had one of those, right? The larger or lesser Pacific striped octopus. Richard Ross and Dr. Roy Caldwell got together and put together an article on that, very much like that. But I'm not finding fault with them because neither of them are journalists. They were and they did uncover new things and novel things about it. So that was actually a positive story of basically resurrecting research on a forgotten species. But yeah, I'm with you on skepticism. I was going to say that the wavy eye of the cuttlefish actually looks like a Whataburger logo. Have you ever been to Whataburger? No.
It's Whataburger.
What? I think I'm pronouncing it right. I've been to it once. They have them in Texas, and I made a point of seeing what it was all about when I was in Texas on a trip, and it was great. And there's a big debate about what the best fast food burger is, and Whataburger has always fared well. If you've tried Whataburger and you have an opinion on it, please comment below. Meanwhile, I'll put up a side-by-side of the cuttlefish pupil and the Whataburger logo. I may not be right about that. I don't see that logo very often, but that kind of
see this is peak journalism here, Tony.
That's right. That's fresh insight right there. On that very high note, I think maybe we wrap it up for this year, Aaron. Unless we have any other stories we want to cover, we pretty good.
I mean, I have one final kind of takeaway message, which I think relates to the holidays.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to Histioteuthids with all of their beautiful photophores that light up in the deep sea. Because my house is currently covered in electrical photophores, as I'm sure yours probably is right now.
It is.
And Histioteuthidae don't have to deal with tangled up light cords or one of their photophores burning out and then having to find it. And oh my goodness, happy holidays, everyone! But Christmas lights are killing me.
That's a really good point. Photophores are amazing, and they don't have to be replaced. We had to replace a bunch this year. We actually we got a new tree. We do artificial, and the other one was just old and just problematic for a variety of reasons. And so it's nice to have a brand new tree because all the lights are working. But on the outside lights, which we've also had for years, and you're on a ladder and you're stringing them up. It's like the movie, Chevy Chase movie, Christmas Vacation. Just not unlike that at all. But yeah, so cephalopods, they don't have to deal with that. They're just, I wonder if anything, like they must, what if they get like a scar, injured, or butt burn? What happens to that? Do they regrow that skin? I guess if it's scar, then maybe it goes out. Maybe that's for another episode. But resilient they are for sure. They put on incredible shows, and one of the many reasons why we love them. So yes, beautiful lights at this time of year. Happy holidays to you and yours, Aaron. Happy holidays to the TONMO community. Thank you for watching all year long. We're going to keep going in 2026. So don't forget to subscribe. We've already got
some great ideas. So 2026 is going to be a good year.
Subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things that you're supposed to do to help our channel grow. And maybe Aaron will keep coming back so we can have something to talk about and have some informed insights about cephalopods. So that's it for 2025. Aaron, have a good one. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.
Happy New Year, everybody.